In the last couple of years, the dress code and the outfit that people wear to the workplace has been different. And even the way people work is different. This is brought about by the generation called Gen Z.
If you have to be business casual, be business casual. After 8 hours or whatever hours you're working, go home and go wear sweatpants or whatever. If they say business casual, be business casual. You can't aggressively just go change it. You got to start somewhere.
There was this thing I saw come up the other day called bed rotting. So that's where they stay in bed for a week. They don't even get out of bath. They eat from their bed. They watch TV. They work from their bed. And their room is literally just riddled with filth. I think that's the risk that working from home poses for a lot of people.
If you have somebody to hire who's very talented or who is exceptionally qualified for their role, should the dressing factor, so if for any reason you find out how somebody dresses after knowing their competency level in the job, should it have a bearing on how you view them?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Scatayan Podcast, where we discuss people and what they do. Hope you're having a beautiful and wonderful day. If you're not, remember it's okay to also have a hard day. As always, from coast to coast, I'm your host, Toves.
Hi, I'm Sekeisha and I like to eat pizza.
Hi, my name is Seun, and I am my chicken down to the bone.
And I'm Stan, but most people want to call me the man.
Fantastic. Now you've met the guys. We're going to be scatteryanning about Gen Z and how they're changing the workplace. If you've been noticing the last couple of years, the dress code and the outfit that people wear to the workplace has been different. People are wearing less suits, less ties, less formal shoes, putting on more trainers, more t-shirts, and even the way people work is different. People used to like instructions from the supervisors and the managers. But nowadays, everyone just wants that freedom. And this is brought about by the generation called Z, or as people call them, Gen Z. Who are Gen Z? Hopefully you know. But just in case, the Gen Z are those that are born in the mid-90s to the mid-2000s. So from 1995 or 97, depending on what source you look at, up until 2005. And these are the people that are currently making up the workforce, and they have certain demands from the workplace, which includes no strict rules on dressing, no strict rules on working hours and flexibility, among other things. But before we dive into that, just a quick question from our panel and to you, our listeners, as well. Do you enjoy wearing formal outfits to work, or you like to be a little bit more laid back? Let's start with Seun, then we'll go to Stan, and then Seki.
I prefer to be laid back. I appreciate that now more at this stage of my career. I think when I started at first, I worked in the bank and it was proper like suit and tie, literally every day of the week. So I know about that life, but I think now I understand that like basically as long as you're doing your work, you can wear pretty much whatever you want. Within the boundaries, I guess, of a professional or semi-professional setting.
Yeah, I prefer a more casual look. The field I work in, we're supposed to be casual anyway. Like suits are a bit intimidating. We do have like a certain, we shouldn't have, I think we're not allowed to have our arms out, chest out, and our skirts can't be above our knees. But yeah, other than that, we can wear trainers, jeans, denim. Prefer it's a little bit more comfortable.
Fair enough, and Stan.
Honestly, I believe, or I think it has to do with the industry you're working in. If you're working in a bank, then yes, shirt and tie and all that. If you're working, say, I don't know, manufacturing or whatever, you could probably wear what I'm wearing right now, but no running pants or running shoes or anything like that. For me, I just freestyle. As long as I don't look like I'm looking for a job, but I'm actually in the job, I think I'm okay with that. So yeah. But it does depend on the industry. So if you want to freestyle, you probably want to go into tech. If you want to be corporate in a way, in a bank or a financial institution, if you want to be comfortable just wearing a t-shirt or whatever, that works as well. I think I go with the weather as well. I don't like a farmer's tan. So if it's sunny outside, I'm in long sleeves and stuff. So it's just my opinion.
Fair enough. So basically everyone has sort of agreed that you want to dress, or you like to wear something that you're comfortable in. It doesn't have to be like a suit. It can be as long as within your industry or your culture.
I think Stan brought up like somewhat interesting, or wedge issues, like one with like culture of where you are, and the other like with the industry itself. And I think like where the Gen Z conversation really comes in is how they are trying to challenge, I guess, what these norms, quote unquote, as we would call them, right? Like, so the idea is if you're trusting somebody with your money, chances are you want them to look a certain way. Now, somebody can be the most brilliant quantitative analyst in the world, like with Excel or with coding or whatever. But if it looks a certain way versus the investment banker that's like fresh cuts with the suit and everything, you want to trust like people, just like you want your farmer to have a certain affect, to him as he's working, or your construction guy, you want him to look, with rough. If you saw a construction guy with clean hands or with really soft hands, you'd be like, okay, what does this guy know what he's doing? So I think like those are wedge issues, and that's where I guess like Gen Z is really trying to challenge things, because the question is, okay, just because I work in this particular industry, can't I wear whatever I want? And as a question, right, like I think that's the really interesting thing to ask. Like if I say I want to work here, shouldn't I be able to wear whatever I want? Is there a responsibility that I guess I'm bearing by dressing a certain way? And I wonder how like the panel feels about that question. Like, should you have to dress like with the industry and cultural questions, right? Should you have to follow those norms, or should we be all be Gen Zs at heart and say, as long as I'm doing my work, doesn't matter what I look like or what I'm wearing?
I feel like call me old school, but I have when you work for an organization, right? You are primarily the face of that organization. You're representing that organization within the time frame you're working at. If you're working in a whatever industry you're working at, and you know about the culture that this company has built from ground zero. Let's take Google, for example. They've been in the industry for what, more than 25 years to say? You can't rapidly change that. You go in, you accept whatever they already have, then you bring about the change slowly about it, right? If you aggressively go in and say you want to go change that, it's not going to work, right? So again, like I said, call me old school, but when I'm working for a company, I got to keep my, should I say, my character a certain way. It's not because I'm trying to act different, but how about you be respectful about wherever you're working at, and just, do your own thing at your own time. But as long as you're in a company time, respect yourself. Right. If you have to be business casual, be business casual. After 8 hours or whatever hours you're working, go home and go wear sweatpants or whatever. You're okay. You're king and queen of your own home. So, but as long as you're outside or you're going into work, if they say business casual, be business casual. If you want to bring about the change, start to process that idea and submit that. You got people who are going to listen, but you can't aggressively go in and just go change it. You got to start somewhere. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. You've basically fast forwarded the conversation to where I was leading to in the first place. But we're going to stay here. But there's an article that I read. It's a Forbes article that suggested that 45% of hiring managers in the US, had issues with the Gen Z, probably because of trying to maintain those norms. And as we tried to articulate earlier, people just want to be comfortable. Whether you're saying it from a cultural perspective or from the traditional perspective, they were comfortable wearing shirts and suits. Because when I go to the theater or the cinema, depending on the generation, you see people that are like the baby boomers who always wear a suit to the cinema, whereas I'll wear like a t-shirt and jeans, because that's what we're comfortable in. So if we're saying about respecting the cultural norms, and we know that norms are fluid, they can change. So my kind of question is, do we have to also consider the future generation? Because they are the ones that are going to be in the workplace longer. Should organization, businesses try to respect the new people that are coming to the workplace? Or do you just have to stick to the old cultural, traditional business norms? Who wants to take this one first?
I think I can go with the older generation, the boomers and all, before our generation. They would go with the suits and stuff. When our generation came, I want to say, into power, we brought about business casual, but it was not an overnight shift. It was primarily years and years of saying, hey, I can wear pants and a t-shirt and a jacket on top of that, or jeans and a shirt and just tuck that in and wear a jacket on top of that. That's still looking professional in a way, right? So again, I'm back to my original point. It takes time to make that change. You can't aggressively make that change. You have to be able to get people to buy into it. Or if you want to be super aggressive about it, then maybe work your way to the top and make that change aggressively.
So,
Just
so
saying.
before, I guess guys want to jump in, but like I think there's a generation in between us and the boomers who I think are responsible for the business casual change. And I think the fundamental question still is there any intrinsic value to dressing a certain way? So let's take the most conservative point of view. I can see an argument being made for the fact that if you work in a traditional sector, if you're a lawyer, if you're a banker, if you work in the government, you should take on like a somber affect because what you're doing is serious. So with that sobriety comes dull tones, conservative dressing, properly laced shoes and pants and a shirt and a jacket, because the work that you're doing is serious and requires you to be in a frame of mind. I get that. And that's how we've been doing things for a long time. But the question still is like, is it necessary? Regardless of whether or not you're saying, should we do it just because everybody else is doing it in this organization or we don't have power to change it? Well, like the question, should you be able to back up your request for me to wear a tie with a reason why you think it's important for me to be able to do this job that you're asking me to do?
So I think a healthy medium is what we need. I'm not sure what they do in the States, and I'm not sure if we still do it actually, but we used to have Dress Down Friday.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing anymore.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Casual Friday.
I actually don't think I've heard anyone say it, but I guess that was like a way of trying to have that balance where you could kind of have that new age. I never participated, so I don't know what kind of swag that you were allowed to bring into the office. But I think with Gen Z, their work ethic is very different to our generation and the generations beforehand as well. This is just, I'm not sure because I work with them in a very different capacity to like work. But yeah, I think because that generation as well, like they are very entrepreneurial. So when you have that access to being able to start your own business, you can wear what you want, and I think they take that mindset into the workplace.
Yeah, fair enough. I agree as well. And I still roll with it because depending on the kind of job role you're doing, if you're sitting at a computer typing all day, it's not comfortable wearing a suit and typing. Like it's not nice on your elbows in the first place. So why should we stick to it just because you want to keep a formal tradition or you want people to look a certain way? Like surely.
Also,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about like access to suits and things like that. Like most of their generation, they wear a lot of fast fashion. So I haven't seen much work attire offered to them either. We have that like loungewear, like the two-piece type of thing. I think fashion might play a very big role in this area as well.
Again, I guess another question I got in that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they want to change the workplace in terms of how you dress and stuff like that. But when they go for interviews, then why do they always look so corporate about it? Why not be as is to that interview, right? Dress however you want to that. So because you're trying to be yourself. I get it, right? I'm not against you wearing, being comfortable in whatever you want to wear to work. But again, I always ask that question. I've heard this before, and I asked a Gen Z this question. You go for an interview, you come looking all corporate and stuff, and then when you actually get the job, now you want to not wear, you want to wear a tank top. You want to show your arms and your chest and all of that. Why didn't you come like that to the interview? Because we are not going to take you seriously if you came like that to the interview. So what makes you think everyone in the office is going to take you seriously when you start wearing that tank top or sweatpants and running shoes and not looking like you're actually here to work, but just here to lounge, to say? I think there should be always some sort of guide and or principle that one has to follow. It doesn't have to be so strict in saying you got to wear the suit and tie. Sometimes I just want to wear some suit once in a while. Sometimes I don't want to wear that. Sometimes I want to wear just a t-shirt and a jeans and normal boots on. And that I can accept. But when you're saying I just want to look however I want, how about you look however you want in an interview? And let's see if that conversation goes more than, 25
Right. So in
minutes.
terms of how I agree that there has to be some standards, but however you obviously you can't come like you said tank top and wearing just coming bare chested because it's summer and it's hot out there, But obviously I've seen people that go to the interview, especially the Gen Z people here in the UK. They don't dress as formally as you think. They just wear like the polo shirt and chinos and come to the interview. Like the dress sense, I think Seki was alluding to that as well, is the fashion. They go with whatever is in fashion. Whatever seems formal is what they wear. To older generation is going to look casual, but to them is very, very formal. Wearing a nice polo shirt is formal because first of all, shirts are expensive, right? Buying a good quality shirt is very expensive. Buying a suit is very expensive. So how do you expect people that just finished uni, no working experience, to go and buy a 50-pound shirt or a 70 quid shirt just because you want to impress your boss and make them?
But you want to wear a $2,000 high tops trainers to work.
So
Yes.
I mean, so I feel like
So
if we bring it down to earth in a way, right? Like I think we're talking about exchanging a bit where we say people just want to wear whatever they like. I don't think that's quite the case. But at the same time, I was curious. Like we went to, I guess, like a college where we had to be formal, essentially all day.
mhm.
I definitely feel like the novelty wore off quickly for me, even though I had to do like some more years of it working professionally. But I was wondering, like,
I totally understand you, and I partially agree with you. But let me ask you this: when you're going for a job interview for a company, are you just reading the job description and that's about it, or are you going into the visions, the missions, the goals, what they stand for, their guiding principles? You're going into that interview. You're dressing according to how that company represents itself outside. So when you get the job, you wanted that job because you were aligned with the mission, the goals, and the guiding principles of that company. So why come in there and then all of a sudden it's an issue? You knew about it before you went in there.
okay, let me.
I like to understand that sometimes you already know where you're getting into. Why go there and make a fuss about it? Why go there and then you're trying to create
Right.
chaos, right? In my mind, I'm like, okay, if I'm going into a company, I work for an aluminum company, I think about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, sorry. And when I was going into that company, I already read about the company. I knew things about the company. I knew that when I went in there, I'm not going to be able to wear my t-shirts once in a while. And I'm only going to be on my shirts and possibly shirts and jeans or shirts and pants, but I'm not going to tuck them in. But that's their own principle of your dress code. I knew that and I was okay with it. When someone else came in, a new hire came in and they're like, oh, I can't wear shirts all the time. I want to wear t-shirts. General manager said something which made sense. It may have sounded harsh, or I may be sounding old school right now, but he said you knew coming in that the dress code was going to be this.
Right.
So why is that an issue
I'm
right
going
now?
to step in here because I think
Am I moving too fast again?
Because the question is, should you adhere? Should you stick to those rules? Why can't things change? I think that's my main question. Yeah, you can follow the company rules. They say business casual, you wear business casual. Because like you said, you can wear a shirt but
Right.
not tuck it in. But if you're adhering to the strict rules, you should tuck that shirt in. But you chose not to do that. So I'm saying, why can't...
I think you stick to the rules until you see a chance for a change, and then you go ahead and present your
But
idea of a change.
If
That's
you don't listen to people or don't give people the opportunity to change, how is change
Right.
going to come about if people don't try to fight for the change in the first place?
That's why I said slowly. You can go in there aggressively and be like, I don't want to wear a suit or business casual anymore. I just want to go in sweatpants and a hoodie. Slowly, you bring about that slowly.
So just like
I think
as
I'm sorry,
as a
I know
social
I'm go-
matter, like as a social, communal matter, it would never happen like that, right? It would never happen like somebody just come and say one day, just show up in a t-shirt saying, okay, from now on, I want to just wear this instead of what everybody else wears, right? Like I totally understand what you're saying, Stanley, about human beings, like the way we work, we want to fit in and adapt into any environment that we're going to. So it makes like perfectly like reasonable sense to research how things are done in Rome, so that when in Rome you would act like, you know, like a Roman, because that's necessary for your advancement and for your comfort in that environment that you're in. You have to be like people there to an extent. I think where this thing really comes to a head is if you're dealing with talents, for example, if you're hiring, because companies often have to hire every year, every 2 years to fill up either old positions or new positions. And most companies usually are looking for people younger, sometimes that they can train or that that have raw skills that they can now impart on. So if you have somebody to hire who's very talented or who is exceptionally qualified for their role, should the dressing factor, because interviews also these days don't even always happen in person. First of all, you're on Zoom or on Teams doing an interview with somebody who you have no idea. But I think the way work is done nowadays as well, or where things are done remotely, and companies are trying to outsource roles that they don't have to pay New York or San Francisco or Toronto salaries for, if you can hire somebody to do the same thing in India or in Nigeria or something. So if for any reason you find out how somebody dresses after knowing their competency level in the job, should it have a bearing on how you view them or their continued like employment? Is I think the more relevant like example for our times.
Well, if I'm being honest with you, if you're the only person trying to dress differently in a workplace, I can tell you so many things that could come up. First, we start talking about diversity and inclusion. Why are you allowing that person that you're not allowing the other person? Sometimes, like I said, we put our hands in a situation that we can easily avoid. I really don't care about how someone dresses, but I still understand that you need to, at some point, be decent. If you wear a sweatpants and say a hoodie on a Friday, I get it. Who's ever really busy on a Friday, right? Yeah. Who actually works on a Friday, even in the office? I get that part, but Monday to Thursday, you want to just wear sweatpants and what's it called?
Right.
A hoodie.
So the rebel in me basically is now shouting, why only Friday? Why is it acceptable on Friday but not Monday to Thursday?
Why not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
I guess it's ingrained in us from generation to generation that Friday is not a serious thing.
Like
even in school. Let's be honest.
Staying in the conversation like a little to something that Sekeisha, like the general ethic essentially of Gen Z, I think is different, right? So when we were coming up as millennials, I think it was instilled in us, aside from the fact that you have to go to university, you have to get a job. Part of that job probably means in the early days of the job, you get insulted, shitted on. That's like the mindset that we come in, right? Early on, you have to take some shit. Then eventually you find your level. And then maybe you are a senior person, you're able to get your house, a car, a nice car, have a nice family, go on some trips abroad, blah, 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 blah. Gen Z, they don't buy into that dream, essentially in general anymore. They don't buy into that idea that we were instilled with. And it's affecting how they show up like in the world, like in general.
Exactly. So let's take the conversation a little bit away from the dressing, because I think we've kind of touched on it already. What are your thoughts on flexible working? Because one of the key characteristics, according to the article, that Gen Z prefer is flexible work. Do you always have to come into the office? Because obviously their generation, they are more tech savvy than the previous generation of millennials. That's Gen Y, Gen X, and the baby boomers, right? They're more tech savvy, so they believe we should be able to like work from home sometimes. And everything is done on Zooms. You even mentioned about interviews done on Zoom. Business meeting, even if you're in the same building, you're doing it on Teams anyway. So why is there the need to go into the office?
I prefer the concept of hybrid working. For me, I'm mostly in the office. I can work from home. I think if I didn't work in the field that I do work in, I probably would get less work done. So if I was more corporate, I probably would have a lot more distractions in my house and venture away from my laptop. Like my work, I would have to be like constantly on the computer. So there's no way of me getting away from them knowing whether I'm there or not, safeguarded. But I think a lot of people, and especially for Gen Z, working from home, there was this thing I saw come up the other day called bed rotting. So that's where like they stay in bed for a week. They don't even get out of bath. They eat from their bed. They watch TV. They work from their bed. And their room is literally just riddled with filth. I think that that's the risk that working from home poses for a lot of people. Although there are pros, like you get a lot more done, you can cook, you can clean. But I think you have to have like a healthier balance. So hybrid, I think it works a little bit better. You don't spend as much on travel. There's a lot of like layers.
Fair enough. Well, as someone who does hybrid work, I can tell you, you're not going to have that time to wander. Because if you are spending all your days in the computer at work, when you're at home, you're still going to spend all your days in the computer at home because...
Can I ask, are you contracting or are you permanent? Yeah, see, that's different. I think people that contract, they have that flexibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're permanent...
Because you're still doing
yeah,
exactly the same thing, but you're just at home. Plus, anyway, their money you're still...
So I'm speaking from like one of my friends, she had a permanent role and she's done contracting. Contracting, her life was a breeze. She could go to the gym in between working. She could cook, clean. But when she got a permanent role, she was literally fixed at the computer.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I guess it depends on the industry as well.
That's true.
I'm sorry, but I don't understand contract and permanent roles.
So contract like freelancer.
So permanent is you're contracted.
So like I'm saying, I'm trying to like relate the I think like freelancing.
Is it different from the term contract?
No. So basically,
okay. Because when you guys are talking about contract and permanent, all I can think about is you're a full-time employee.
Correct.
You got an end date on your employment. That's all I can think.
Freelancing will be contracting. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So you only work when you have work.
Sound is correct.
Make it so difficult, eh? You can't just go with the standard. You guys always have to make it difficult over there.
It's England. First of all, their language is English. You're the ones not twisting the thing in the first place. But that's another
that's
very
right.
different.
No.
Actually, yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's not we had the options. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the norm right now, so you got to convert.
Yeah, at least I try to know what you guys say sometimes. So yeah, so I can translate.
Because I got confused, to be honest with you. I thought you guys were talking because contract and permanent. I just think about full time.
Contract.
And contract, you got an end date to your
that
job.
That one we call fixed term. We call that one fixed term employment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So what are your thoughts on hybrid working, Stan?
I'm not opposed to it, but I'm also of the opinion that it also depends on the kind of role. Some jobs you can't work from home. Others you can. I also think it has to do with discipline. A lot of people want to work from home because they believe they got free time on their hands, but what are you actually doing with that free time? I like the fact that you can go to the gym, you can do that, but some people don't even do that, right? I'm really not opposed to it. I enjoy going in the office. It's just my thing. I enjoy networking. Because I tend to learn about something new. It really exposes me to things that I think I know, but I don't know. So do I like everybody? Not really, but I'm definitely going to want to be in there every now and then. And I think while you're working in the office, again, depending on what you do and where you're working, it could also be flexible. When I'm tired of being in meetings or calls or whatever, do some workout in the office, close my door and just stretch it out, right? So I'm really not opposed to it, but I also think it depends on the role you're working in and the demand of that role as well. If you believe you're more productive at home, oh, well and good for you. If you believe you're more productive in the office, well, good luck to you as well.
I think for me, I need the routine of getting up in the morning, getting dressed, getting in the car, driving to work. I need that to be getting a mind frame that I'm going to work. So when I leave work, I'm done. Like I don't really like the idea of like getting up, running to the bathroom, then going to another room. Yeah, I'm working and I'm on my phone half the time, or I'm working from the couch or something. If it's somebody else's job, if you're paying me, and if I'm serious about the job that you're paying me for, yes, I would go into the office. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be faffing around. And I know that about myself. So like I don't pay the make me work from home. Sometimes I do it on Friday. Like I work from home on Fridays. Well, that just basically means that for the most part, Friday is not a working day for me. Technically I'm working, but I don't really do shit. Like I have a meeting in the morning and for the rest of the day. I'm permanent. And I guess like permanent on like what you guys are saying, permanent for me here in the US means I guess like salaried is one way you would describe it. So instead of working by the hour, you're a salaried employee instead. So I don't have to clock in or clock out. Nobody's checking my mouse movements or anything like that. as long as you get the job done. I think the attitude that people have now, especially these days where companies are global, nobody's worrying about whether or not you're in the office or not. COVID, basically, the game changed completely. It's had like ripple effects, basically, because like you have all these real estate companies who are going through trouble because they're huge office buildings, basically, that's emptied out in 2020 and never filled again. So basically, almost every major city in the world, the downtown or city center is, things are getting back to normal, but like there's still like this air of like, emptiness that came with COVID and hasn't gone away because people aren't back in the office in the way that they were before. Or there are these like WeWork, co-working type spaces where that's a legitimate business now. So office as a service, essentially. So like the landscape has changed. I think that's a change that like Stanley was resisting in a way, but sometimes it's no matter how you try, these forces basically sometimes are unstoppable. You can make a case for getting with the times before you get swept up.
I agree in a way, because again, I will still say I'm not opposed to it, whatever works for you, but it also takes discipline, right? For me, I know myself. If I work from home, I don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
I could be working up until 9 p.m.
Oh,
at
that's
night.
okay. That's your
And then I'm
the
up
opposite
again.
entirely.
Right. And then I'm up again at 4 a.m. And then after working out, whatever, I'm already on my computer at 6. So I know myself that I'm not going to stop because I just feel like, you know what, I'm home. I just got to keep working. Most people want to work from home because they don't want to do anything. Most people want to work from home because they want 2 jobs, right? Most people want to work from home because childcare in, I don't know about the States, but here in Canada, super expensive, right? So that actually helps people. There are different reasons why most people may want to work from home. It's all, I want to say, it's just how you discipline yourself. I like the office. Do I get bored every now and then going in the office? Yeah, but I create a strategy not to get bored. If I know I'm going to take a certain route every day and I start feeling a little bit tired, I take a different route going to work or coming back from work. Take a different scenic route or whatever. Take the back roads, take the country kind of thing. That works for me. And I know that when I'm done, you can buzz my phone 20 times. I'm looking at it, but I may not even touch it. Sometimes I may pick it up. Sometimes I'm not even going to pick it up. But when I'm working from home, and if you call me at 8 o'clock, I feel like I have to pick it up. It's just my mind, right? I not disciplined myself enough to say, I got to stop, right? So that's another reason.
Right. Stay tuned for this conversation in the next episode of Scatteryan. Yes, thank you very much. Right. So, quick question: would you rather communicate primarily? I'll ask again. Would you rather communicate primarily through emails and meetings or through instant messaging and video calls? Start with Seki on this one.
The thing is, I'm struggling because it depends on who I'm communicating with. So there are members of staff that I prefer to email, instant message, or video. So it depends on the relationship. If I have to choose one, I would probably go with emails, just because it's a bit easier for me to detach emotionally from the emails.
Yeah, I was wondering, what's the difference between video call and meeting?
Right.
You're not there. You're not present physically.
Well, one's
It's for Dr. Toves, yeah.
Say that again.
One is what?
So, what was your question?
What's the difference between video call and quote unquote meeting?
A meeting is in person.
Okay.
A video call is virtual.
Okay.
Oh, well, what about, because you can have a virtual meeting?
Yeah, but I didn't say virtual meeting.
Still video call.
Once I've said meeting and video call, you should have known the difference. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys say in the States? How do you guys refer to in-person meeting
in person or virtual?
Yeah,
you have to literally specify.
Meeting.
Right, then scrap that question.
Yeah.
Language barrier. Next one.
No, well, in person, I would go with in person over video call. I think if, like, working, depending on also the type of work you're doing, right? I would say at any level, like, it's always better to talk things out in person than through IM or video call. Like, a lot of stuff isn't translated well, like body language. It's always better to talk something more for collaboration. That's an argument for being in the office versus working like virtually in person than over like, Zoom meeting.
And then
your question is not just around meetings, right? It's just in general,
yes.
the work
Yes.
setting. Okay. Oh, just a phone call, to be honest with you. Um, I feel like
Yeah,
sometimes
but
we
phone
get
call is not one of the
to,
options. Emails and in-person meetings, or
yeah.
like text
Well, I'm
message
adding
and
my
video calls.
option
Yeah.
of phone call. You should have put phone call though, because I believe that you cannot always meet someone in person. So primarily, if I'm gonna go with the context of no phone call, then I'll probably just have a virtual meeting because I understand that I can't be around where you are all the time. And it's easier for me to just again get solutions to whatever I wanted or whatever I want, depending on how many emails you get. You get buried sometimes and you can't even get to them all the time. So
I'm sure we
I would say a
I'm sure
video
we can
virtual
guess which
meeting.
one the Gen Zers chose. Next question.
Nothing.
They chose, text messaging and video calls. Right. So
Oh,
would you rather have access to mental health resources and wellness programs at work, or have a short work week to improve work-life balance? Because we talk about flexibility, work-life balance. You see, when you're at home, you work extra and stuff like that. So would you rather have access to mental health resources, wellness programs, everything at work, or a shorter work week to improve work-life balance? I'll start with Stan on this one.
my apologies, but I don't think I can really understand the context of that question because when you talk about mental health and wellness, it's a little bit different from
Mental
a
health,
short work
yes,
week.
I know. So you have two options.
Yeah.
You go
So
to
like
work all
being
the
able
time.
to work, being able
Yes.
to have therapy on your
When
insurance,
you're
basically.
fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
but your job
No,
is
no,
giving
from
you,
your company's insurance.
yes, they're giving you all the mental health things that you need, but you have to work
Right.
as long as possible, or 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 you have a short work week, so maybe Monday to Thursday or like Monday to Friday afternoon, and then you have your work-life balance. Which would you prefer?
So let me have my take. I think I've lived this exactly you're talking about. Like the place I
Okay.
worked before, our coverage had included mental health, so I could get therapy on my company's insurance. Now I just have where I work right now. I just have the regular like ear general practitioner like dental coverage that everybody has. But some companies do allow you to have like pay for therapy on the coverage. And I think if I were to choose between an insurance coverage program from a company or a benefits package that included mental health services versus a shorter work week, I think I'll choose the former. Like give me a benefits package that includes,
Yes.
therapy. I'll take the Monday to
Yes.
Friday work week. That's fine.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Do you know how expensive it is to have your own separate insurance?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. And when I have a company paying 80% of it and I only have to pay 20, I will take that. And again, depending on whatever mental health or whatever social awareness you're trying to do in the office, it could be different stuffs. I work at a company where they did yoga every lunchtime. That same period that
Do you
if
do
you wanted
yoga
to
as
go for
well?
the yoga, you're no, geez, I am too rigid for that. But quite frankly, when they did their yoga, I had the opportunity to actually go to the gym on my lunch break. And I felt lighter. I felt happy. I was okay with that, to be honest with you. Every day, lunch break at the gym running or whatever. So I would take the company one. Plus, it saves me money.
Right, Seki, which one are you going for?
I thought I wanted to have the 2 days off. Yeah, I'm not sure, but if I go with my workplace, I would rather have the shorter work week. I mean, over here we have the NHS.
Yeah.
We have access to a lot of services,
Mm.
so I'm think I'm gonna stick with the 2 days off. Are they paid? Yeah.
Yes.
Days
Yeah.
off.
I would also go.
So I have a question for you,
Yeah, let me
Dr.
answer my
Tove.
question first.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll go for the shorter work week with work-life balance. I prefer work-life balance to having all the wellness programs. Yeah, okay, yes, you give me the therapy, and yeah, I get fine for 1 or 2 days, but I'm still working hard. The stress is still there, so I'm going to be stressed. I'll come to you to give me a little sense of relief. Come back to the stressed environment. No, I'll rather just finish early, go home, rest, do whatever I want to do, and I know that I'm returning to work on Monday, fresh. We go again. Look forward to my
But
longer weekend.
that assumes that
Things
like
like that.
the only reason why you go to a therapist is about work.
No,
Right, like
because we're
whatever,
discussing
Right.
because we're
That's
discussing
whatever my required
work-life
therapy would
balance.
still be with you.
Because we're
in
discussing
the
work-life
2 days.
balance, so I'm assuming it's all going to be work-related. You know, Stan, you said you had a question for me. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess my question to you is, when you talk about work-life balance, what is work-life balance to
Like,
you?
finish work. Once you close your laptop at work, you're not thinking about it anymore. Once you finish, you're done. Like until you come back and resume in the morning. That's work-life balance. You can't keep working and working because stress. You can't avoid stress. Stress is your brain telling you, "I'm tired." You don't want to burn out. In the US, US
Right.
and Canada, you guys have a higher rate of burnout than in the UK because there's no like work-life balance being pushed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The reason I ask you that question is, so when your idea of work-life balance in England is you're done work, that's it.
Your work time is work
Um,
time. Your personal time is your personal time.
Right. My idea of work-life balance is I'm able to do other stuffs within the work time. For example, I want to go check my eyes out. I want to go to the dentist office or whatever. I want to go pick up
Then
something.
you take
you
a
know,
day you take a
being
day off for
able
that, isn't it? That's what holidays are for.
See,
Or sick
but
days.
I don't know how it works there, but here you really don't have to take a day. You just go get it done with that time frame and come back to work. So to me, work-life balance, it's a lot of things than just I'm closing my computer. We do have a policy here in Canada that states the right to disconnect, meaning if your boss is telling you, I want you to get this done by 7 p.m. and you know you're an 8 to 4:30, you have the right to literally close your computer and not respond until 8 o'clock the following day, right? So I guess I really wanted to understand what work-life balance is to you. To me, it's not just about closing your computer. Work-life balance to me then was even going, like I said, going to the gym during my lunch break for an hour or an hour and a half and coming back, getting my work done. Because you take 2 days off, I'm pretty sure, I want to say maybe some of us here, on Sunday night, you're already dreading
So
Monday
going
morning.
to the gym and as part of the work package is also part of, the working day. It's part of work, basically, right? They have like health program, fitness program, mental health program. They're
Right.
all in UK. It's all categorized under mental health because obviously health is wealth. The more healthy you are,
Oh, I see.
the more
Yeah,
you
I mean,
are
like
right.
a lot of
mentally type of thing. So yeah.
a lot of these like
I just-
so-called high-performance offices, like Twitter, these tech companies where their market cap is billions of dollars and they basically straight money. And a lot of these offices, like they provide them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have
Yeah.
all sorts of like welfare
Right.
rooms and ping pong tables and game rooms and relaxation centers, like in the office.
which could be classified as work-life
It's not
balance to
necessarily
someone
working because
working
you're
there as
doing it
well.
at work. That's the thing. You're doing it at work. Life is your own time. If I'm playing game
No,
to
no, no,
relax,
no, no. But
I'm just, I know
Dr.
I'm giving
Toves,
you the
the
concept.
point is
The point
no,
I'm trying to
but
make
like
is
if
you're relaxing,
the
yes,
more-
you're resting, but that's to boost productivity, right? I'm saying work-life balance here is ignore productivity. It's not about productivity here. It's about you doing your own thing. If you can play ping pong, but you're just trying to make you distress to be more productive.
no, I don't.
You know?
I don't agree that necessarily like that. we should
Isn't
separate-
work-life balance also to help you decompress and be more
Not
productive as
necessarily
well?
just to do my thing. I want to. If I
In your definition of I'm closing my computer
Yeah.
at 4, to me, that's like you trying to reset for the following day again. And I'm not saying your opinion of work-life balance
Yeah.
is wrong. To me, it's more than that
No,
just ending.
I'm saying
your
it's
day
wrong,
for-
Stanley, because I'm suggesting it's a false choice.
Yeah, it's more than that.
Let me
right?
ask
If
this-
it's
let me ask-
intertwined.
Let me ask this last would you rather then. Would you rather have a job that requires you to be available at all times but offers you high pay and benefits, or a job with lower pay but strict boundaries and plenty of personal time?
I mean, the spectrum of high pay and lower pay is so diverse. So high pay can be 1 million, lower pay can be 300,000 a year. 300,000 a year is still really nice, and if that's the case, yes, I'll
However,
take it.
whichever way you want to cut it. High pay,
Okay, yeah,
available
then I
all
mean-
time, lower pay, but you have your own personal time after work. No one is calling you at 10 a.m. No one's expecting you to do overtime without pay type of thing, Which one would you rather have?
Yeah, no, I mean, available all the time is in no, right? Although it's something I'm struggling with, and I guess I don't mean to go on a tangent, but like people who are like Jeff Bezos and all that kind of type of shit. And I feel like at some point, Jeff Bezos was available all the time. Like if you want to have some kind of billions of dollars, you need to sacrifice yourself,
Yeah, time is
probably,
money.
for a period of time. It's a difficult choice, honestly. But yeah, no, I think I'll go with the latter. I'll take the lesser money. Let me have my free time to be able to do what I want.
If I should go by present situation of the economy, I will go with no personal time. Just keep paying, right? If we were if we were having this conversation maybe back in 2015 or pre-COVID, oh yeah, I will take lower and take my personal time. But right now, the interest rate makes you sit up. So I will take, if I'm just going by the economy right now, I will, yeah, take my time away. Just give me the money.
It's a bit of a difficult one. If I like taking low pay and still being able to do what you need to do, maneuver, build. I think it's a bit different for me because I'm a female. So if I do take the low pay, hopefully my husband will be, the breadwinner and bringing in a lot of money. So I will go with the lower pay based on
All right.
the fact that, my partner will step in.
Say no more.
I respect that, actually. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's a good one, though. I like that. Oh, geez. So maybe we can do the same as a man, like just go look for a woman with a higher pay. And I mean, I don't mind being a stay-at-home dad.
2024.
I mean,
Whatever.
maybe not even higher per se, no, right? Like there's this phenomenon that millennials, I guess, sticking to the generational conversation, there's this phenomenon that millennials have coined, dual income, no kids household, where if it's just you're this thing, but if it's you and somebody who is a professional like you, you're earning a lot of money, you can enjoy yourself, travel, do nice things, treat yourself basically, because you don't have kids and because you can afford to bear burden basically with somebody else. So I mean, it's not a question.
Fair enough.
Honestly, you're absolutely right, and I don't know if you guys do the same in England, but man, dual income in the States and Canada goes a long way. So technically, when you start to look for someone you're trying to get married to, they got to be earning either above you or same level if you want to be okay. So yeah.
So
it's hard.
remember, our listeners, you have to understand that Gen Z isn't a trend. It's how the world is going to morph into. That's the next culture, the next norm, the next global phenomenon that we're going to have to face in terms of
Next future leaders.
Exactly. In terms of dressing.
They told us. Yeah, they told us the same thing.
Yeah. In terms of outfit, in terms of norms, in terms of perception of life, etc. So, we have to give everyone a chance, and you can be like one of us on the panel where you want to fight for the old norms, or you can be a bit flexible like other people on the panel and adapt and accept this change as long as it doesn't affect you mental health wise. So I would say thank you to everyone that joined us today. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Seun. Thank you, Seki, as always, for your time and for your deep dives and insights. On to the next time, people. This has been the Scatteryan podcast. Use your brain. SCFA.
All right. I like that one, eh?